uh, 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 America accepts the reality that a man is trapped in a woman's body than to believe that all black people are inherently criminal.
D.L. Hughley and Dave Chappelle have sparked serious backlash after comments tied to Magic Johnson and his son, E.J. What some call comedy, others call disrespect, and the internet is not staying quiet. Now it's turning into a full-on culture fight, with everyone picking sides. And the big question, did they go too far this time?
The black church is the gayest place on the face of the earth. Like most dudes who go to church are trying to play the love of dick out of their heart.
Now, D.L. Hughley has never been the type to hold back. The man built his entire career on saying the things other people only whisper. But sometimes, the line between bold comedy and straight-up disrespect gets blurry, and a whole lot of people feel like he crossed it this time. In a series of interviews and public appearances, Hughley began aiming for Magic Johnson and his wife Cookie, specifically targeting how they've raised their son, E.J. Johnson. For those who don't know, E.J. is openly gay and has carved out his own lane in the fashion and entertainment world. He is known for his bold, feminine style. I mean designer dresses, full glam looks, confidence turned all the way up. E.J. has never apologized for who he is, and for a long time, the public largely celebrated that. But Hughley? He wasn't here for it. He reportedly questioned E.J.'s fashion choices, specifically calling out things like wearing dresses and bras, and labeled it, in his words, parenting gone wrong.
You can like dudes, or you could like people of the same sex. What you need a fucking purse to do that for? You ain't doing that. I get it. I love you anyway.
Yeah.
But I'm not buying you a Fendi bag, nigga.
He even went as far as saying something along the lines of, you can love whoever you want, but you don't need to be wearing a bra, as if what a grown man chooses to put on his own body is somehow a reflection of his parents doing something wrong. And it didn't stop there. Hughley reportedly went even deeper, dipping into wild speculation about why so many Hollywood celebrities seem to have LGBTQ+ children. Now, we're not going to dignify the more extreme theories with too much airtime here, but let's just say the commentary went from edgy to eyebrow-raising real fast. Here's the thing about Magic Johnson. The man is a legend. 5 NBA championships, an Olympic gold medal, a billion-dollar business empire, and perhaps most importantly, a father who has made it crystal clear that his love for his son is unconditional.
So I think it's all about you not trying to decide what your daughter or son should be or what you want them to become. It's all about loving them no matter who they are, what they decide to do. And when my son came out, I was so happy for him and happy for us as parents.
So when word got back to Magic that Hughley was out here using E.J. as punchline material and questioning how he and Cookie raised their family, Magic didn't send a publicist. He didn't do a polished press release. He went directly to social media and clapped back with the kind of precision that reminded everyone this man did not become one of the greatest to ever do it by backing down. His message was sharp and pointed. He basically told Hughley, worry about your own daughter. And if you know anything about the context here, that line landed like a thunderbolt, because D.L. Hughley's own daughter is gay. Let that sink in for a second. Magic also made a broader, more powerful point that resonated deeply with a lot of parents and young people online. He said it plainly, parents don't get to decide what their children become. Your job as a parent is to love them, protect them, and support them for who they actually are, not who you wanted them to be, not who makes you more comfortable at the dinner table.
Anthony, and you look at Ja, they're probably the two, and then of course Kyrie. Those are three like can put on a show. You be like, woo, woo.
Once Magic fired back, the internet did what the internet does. It went absolutely nuclear. Clips were shared millions of times. Sides were drawn. Then, as if things weren't already spicy enough, Cat Williams, yes, that Cat Williams, who has been on quite the public rampage in recent years, reportedly jumped in and added fuel to the fire, siding with the criticism of E.J. and the Johnsons. At that point, it stopped being a two-person disagreement and started becoming a full cultural moment. And the debate it sparked was bigger than just this one family. People started asking real questions. Questions like, why do some people feel entitled to have an opinion about how other families raise their children? Why is a black man expressing femininity still treated like a scandal in 2026? And the big one, how does a man criticize someone else's gay child when he is raising a gay child himself?
And I got a gay daughter. I got a You know, a daughter.
Oh, your daughter is gay?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have this broad continuum of experiences
That double standard became the centerpiece of the conversation online. Fans and commentators pointed out that you simply cannot blast Magic and Cookie for being openly supportive of EJ while quietly having the same situation under your own roof. The hypocrisy was hard to ignore. At the heart of this feud is something that goes way beyond celebrity gossip. It's about what unconditional love actually looks like in practice. It's about whether parents own their children's identities or whether they serve them. Magic and Cookie Johnson have consistently shown up for EJ in public, proudly and loudly. No hedging, no awkward silences, no, we love him, but they've shown the world what full acceptance looks like. And a lot of people, especially young LGBTQ plus people who grew up without that kind of support, saw Magic's response to Hughley and felt something. D.L. Hughley is a brilliant comedian with a sharp mind, but brilliance doesn't make you immune to blind spots. And this time, it seems like the world is telling him, loudly, clearly, and in the comments section, that this particular blind spot hit too close to home. The feud may cool down, the headlines will eventually move on, but the conversation started, that one's going to stick around for a while.
You know, I get it though. I understand why gay people are mad, and I empathize. You know what? I'm just telling you, this is a black dude. I support your movement, but if you want to take some advice from a Negro.
And now Dave Chappelle has entered the chat now. Just when you thought this story couldn't get any bigger, just when it seemed like the dust was maybe, possibly starting to settle, it didn't. Because the internet never sleeps, EJ Johnson never stops making headlines, and apparently every major comedian in America has an opinion they need to share. Just weeks after that whole firestorm, EJ Johnson was spotted in Paris, yes Paris, serving a full look in a designer women's leather dress and what people online were clocking as size 20 heels. Now Paris is the fashion capital of the world. People fly there specifically to take risks and be seen. But for EJ, who was already sitting at the center of a very loud cultural debate, this look didn't quietly blend into the timeline. It detonated. The clowning started almost immediately. Memes, hot takes, reaction videos, the whole machine fired up again. But what made this moment land so differently was the timing, because this came right on the heels, no pun intended, of EJ making two statements that had already sent the internet into a full spiral. The first, that they looked better than every woman in the room. The second, and this is where people's heads really started spinning, is that they don't date gay men. EJ explained that the men they're romantically drawn to are men who present as straight and have typically dated women. And the internet stopped dead in its tracks and asked the obvious question. If a man is attracted to EJ Johnson, someone who presents in a deeply feminine way, wears women's clothing, and moves through the world as a feminine being, how exactly is that man straight? As one viral caption put it perfectly, it became a genuine, sprawling debate about attraction, labels, identity, and whether the words we've been using to describe sexuality even hold up anymore in 2026. And right in the middle of all of that noise, EJ did something that a lot of people didn't expect. They sat down and explained themselves, clearly, calmly, and on their own terms.
Was, you and your sister liking the same guy?
Honestly, that is ultimately what got the show picked up. But also, in terms of the gender and sexualities and stuff like that, it was very important because that happens. I don't attract gay men, and I'm not attracted to gay men.
In a March 2026 interview on the Reality with the King podcast, EJ pulled back the curtain in a refreshingly direct way. No PR spin, no careful corporate language, just honesty. EJ made it plain. I'm not a man. I don't even feel like a man. They describe themselves as a deeply feminine being, someone whose internal experience and outward expression have always leaned feminine, long before the public had anything to say about it. They shared that they/he pronouns no longer feel right, and that they now prefer they/them or she/her. They've even moved away from being called son by Magic and Cookie, preferring simply EJ. But here's the part that keeps getting buried under all the noise, and it's important. EJ has been completely consistent about one thing. They have no plans to medically transition. They don't feel like they're in the wrong body. There's no surgery on the horizon, no hormone journey being documented. EJ is simply living as who they are, a non-binary, gender-fluid, deeply feminine person who refuses to be forced into a category that was never designed for them. On the dating question, EJ went deeper.
They'll tell you the same. And I think they're just labels. You know, that's why, like, I don't care what, you know, like, I'm dating someone, I'm like, I don't care what you identify as or what you call yourself, as long as you are happy being who you are.
They explained that in traditional gay spaces, the clubs, the apps, the scene, they often feel invisible. Their feminine energy, they said, tends to go unseen there. The connections they find tend to be with men who are drawn to femininity itself, regardless of the body it comes in. Whether the rest of the world calls those men straight, bisexual, or something else entirely is, for EJ, beside the point. Take that in for a second, because whether you agree with EJ's framing or not, there is a coherent, lived logic to what they're describing, and that logic deserves at least as much airtime as the memes. And then Dave Chappelle walked into the room. Here's where the story shifts into a completely different gear. D.L. Hughley started it, Cat Williams piled on, Magic Johnson fired back. The internet picked sides, and then Dave Chappelle entered the conversation. Now, if you know anything about Chappelle's recent history, you know this territory is not new for him. His Netflix specials have spent years walking the line between boundary-pushing comedy and commentary that a significant portion of the LGBTQ+ community has called outright harmful. Chappelle has consistently defended his approach as radical truth-telling, saying the things society has decided are off-limits and forcing audiences to sit in the discomfort of that. But according to reports from April 2026, what happened during one particular live set went beyond his usual approach. Chappelle reportedly addressed the E.J. Johnson situation directly, and the room, by multiple accounts, froze. That specific heavy silence that falls when something stops feeling like comedy and starts feeling like something sharper and harder to name.
And she said, because, David, you are not gay. I said, well, Renee.
Chappelle reportedly questioned the broader pattern of celebrity children in Hollywood identifying as transgender or gender fluid, framing it not as an individual authentic experience, but as something shaped by environment, culture, or the particular pressures of growing up rich and famous in a liberal entertainment bubble. It echoed what Hughley had already suggested, that something outside these young people is driving these identities, rather than something within them. And to a lot of people watching, that framing isn't just misguided, it's dangerous. Because the moment you suggest that someone's gender identity is a product of their zip code or their parents' tax bracket, you are, whether you intend to or not, telling every young LGBTQ+ person watching that their truth is a trend, that it's negotiable. It might just be a phase manufactured by the wrong influences. For kids already fighting to be believed by the people closest to them, that message doesn't land as comedy. It lands as ammunition for every person in their life who already doubts them. But here's the thread that has tied this entire saga together from the very beginning, and it only gets more relevant now that Chappelle has joined the pile.
The most is how that her fear of how I would react plagued her more than my actual reaction. And that I had done a thing, that obviously I had done something.
D.L. Hughley has a gay daughter. He has lived inside his own home, the exact parenting experience he went on television to criticize Magic and Cookie Johnson for navigating. He has sat across the dinner table from a child whose identity the world has opinions about, and yet he stood in front of microphones and cameras and called their journey parenting gone wrong. That contradiction became the loudest thing in the room, louder than any joke, louder than any clap back, because it forced a question that this whole situation keeps circling back to. What exactly do we want from the parents of LGBTQ+ children? Do we want parents who show up fully, who post the photos, say the names, use the pronouns, and stand in the fire publicly the way Magic Johnson has done? Or do we expect them to love their kids quietly, privately, in a way that doesn't make anyone else at the table uncomfortable? Magic answered that question without flinching. His response to Hughley wasn't a media strategy, it was a father. And millions of people, especially young people who have never had that kind of unconditional backup from their own families, felt that response somewhere deep. Pull back the camera far enough and this stops being about celebrity gossip entirely. Strip away the famous last name, the Paris fits, the viral sound bites, and what you have is a young person figuring out who they are, in public, under a microscope, with no roadmap, while some of the most famous and influential voices in entertainment debate whether that person's identity is valid, real, or worth respecting. E.J. Johnson hasn't demanded anything from anyone. They've been remarkably consistent, not transitioning, not seeking approval, not asking the world to reorganize itself around them, just living. And the reaction that simply living has provoked says everything about where we are as a culture right now. Dave Chappelle, D.L. Hughley, and Cat Williams are undeniably talented and undeniably influential. But influence without accountability is just a loud voice in a crowded room. And right now, that room has a lot of young people in it who are listening very carefully to every word being said about people like them. The conversation this feud has sparked is worth having. The way some people are choosing to have it, that part still has a long way to go. All right, we've covered the fashion moments. We've covered the family feuds. We've covered Dave Chappelle freezing a room and Magic Johnson going to war on social media for his child. But now we need to go somewhere darker.
Gay people want to be niggas. They want to say it's civil rights. No, because as a gay person, you can be gay. It's about what kind of person you are gay. As a nigga, we was treated like animals first.
Somewhere the mainstream conversation keeps tiptoeing around but never quite steps into it directly. Because this story didn't stay on the surface, it went underground. And once Cat Williams sat down on Joe Rogan's podcast, the whole thing cracked wide open. Before we get into the deep end, let's make sure we're all caught up on where E.J. Johnson actually stands, because the identity piece of this story is genuinely complicated, and that complexity matters. E.J. dates men, but doesn't identify as gay. E.J. presents in an extremely feminine way, women's clothing, heels, and full glam, but rejects being called a woman or a trans woman. Many outlets have reached for terms like non-binary or gender fluid to describe E.J., but E.J. has pushed back on those labels too. So what's left? According to E.J., just E.J. And look, on a personal level, people have every right to define themselves however it feels true. Labels are human inventions, and not everyone fits neatly inside them. That's a real and valid conversation worth having. But here's where it gets complicated. When E.J. goes on record saying they look better than every woman in the room, and that straight men are attracted to them, that's not just a personal statement anymore. That's a public declaration that invites public reaction. And the reaction it's getting from a lot of corners isn't just confusion. It's something closer to skepticism. D.L. Hughley, never one to sugarcoat anything, reportedly cut through the whole conversation with a single line: "You can call yourself whatever you want, but at the end of the day, biology doesn't lie." Now, whether you agree with that statement or find it reductive, it reflects what a significant number of people are quietly thinking. And in the current cultural climate, saying it out loud is enough to start a war. But Cat Williams? Cat didn't just say it out loud. Cat built an entire theory around it, and that theory involves Hollywood rituals, secret power structures, and a figure that most people only know from horror movies and conspiracy forums.
I had seen that word transgender was Baphomet, the transgender. And so I knew that in the ritual of Baphomet, the transgender, to show allegiance to him, you had to.
During his appearance on Joe Rogan's podcast, Cat Williams went somewhere that made even the most open-minded listeners sit up straight. He started connecting dots between transgender identity, Hollywood success, and an occult figure known as Baphomet. For context, Baphomet is a symbol that has appeared in occult traditions, satanic iconography, and conspiracy theory circles for centuries. The image, a goat-headed, winged, androgynous figure, has become shorthand in certain communities for secret societies, dark rituals, and hidden power. Cat's claim was specific. He said that in certain Hollywood rituals, participants are required to kiss Baphomet's ring, a gesture of loyalty, submission, and surrender to whoever is running the show. And he said that based on witnessing this, he knew long ago that transgender identity and gender-bending culture were going to become a dominant force in mainstream society. Because kissing the ring, bowing to power, doing what humiliates you, performing submission, was always going to be normalized. That was the plan. Now, Cat's broader argument is this: Hollywood uses ritual humiliation as a control mechanism. The logic, as he laid it out, goes something like this. Once you get a celebrity to do something that goes against their image, their values, their ego, something that makes them cringe or feel exposed, you own them. They've demonstrated that they will comply. They've handed over leverage, and from that point forward, the industry holds that over them. Step out of line, and everything they have can be taken away. So they stay quiet, they play the game, they keep climbing. And according to Kat, the gender and trans element isn't random. It's specifically chosen because for certain types of celebrities, particularly the hyper-masculine, traditionally alpha archetypes, having a child or being associated with gender nonconformity is the ultimate ego death, the ultimate humiliation. Here's the part of this conversation that people keep returning to, because it's harder to dismiss than a conspiracy theory, and it's been used to lend credibility to the more extreme claims. Studies consistently put transgender and non-binary identity somewhere between 1 and 2% of the general population. That's the baseline. That's what we'd expect to see if identity were distributed randomly across society. But look at the children of A-list celebrities in Hollywood. The percentage appears dramatically higher. Multiple high-profile entertainment families across different industries, different backgrounds, and different generations, all navigating the same experience in the same ecosystem. Now, there are rational explanations for this. Wealthy, liberal, entertainment industry families tend to create environments where children feel safer exploring and expressing identity openly. Access to therapy, education, and affirming communities makes it more likely that a young person will come out rather than suppress who they are. Visibility breeds visibility. When young people see others like them represented, they feel more permission to be themselves. Those are real factors. Researchers and sociologists point to them regularly. But Kat Williams and a growing number of people online look at that same pattern and see something else. They see design, they see intentionality, they see an industry that doesn't just attract a certain type of family, but actively shapes them. Because we can't have this conversation without coming back to where it started. Magic Johnson is one of the most iconic figures in American sports history. 5 championships, Olympic gold, a business empire built from scratch. The man defined a generation of basketball and then reinvented himself as a billion-dollar entrepreneur. Charismatic, beloved, traditionally masculine in every way the culture celebrates. And his son EJ, now preferring they or she pronouns, wearing designer women's dresses, full makeup, towering heels, and publicly claiming that only straight men are attracted to them, is one of the most visible gender non-conforming figures in celebrity culture right now. In public, Magic has been nothing but supportive. Courtside seats, social media defenses, going toe-to-toe with DL Hughley without flinching. There's a bigger conversation hiding underneath all of this, and it's not as simple as people online make it sound. When you look at Magic Johnson and his son, EJ Johnson, what you really see is a father and child trying to navigate life in the public eye. EJ has grown up in a world where he's free to express himself, build a career. That kind of freedom is something many younger people take for granted today, especially in entertainment spaces where individuality is often celebrated. But for Magic, things come from a very different place. He grew up in an era where masculinity was defined in a very strict way. Strength, silence, toughness. No room for softness or anything outside the norm. So when life shifts in a direction he didn't expect, he isn't just dealing with public opinion. He's also dealing with old ideas he was raised with. And that tension doesn't disappear overnight. That's where things get complicated for a lot of older black male celebrities. Some people point to Marlon Wayans and his relationship with his child Kai, who is transgender. He shows support publicly and even uses humor when talking about it. But if you listen closely, you can hear that he is still working through it emotionally. It feels like a father trying to balance love, identity, and a world watching his every word. Then there's Eddie Murphy. His son Angel has also shared their truth publicly, but Eddie tends to stay quiet about that part of his family in interviews. He talks about his other children often, which leads some people to question what that silence really means. Is it discomfort, privacy, or just a choice to keep certain things out of the spotlight? On the other side, Dwayne Wade has been very open in supporting his daughter Zaya. He speaks about her with pride, but some people online still criticize him for being too vocal, as if there's no perfect way to respond. What ties all of these stories together is pressure. Public pressure, generational pressure, and personal pressure. These men built their image in a world that rewarded a very narrow version of masculinity, and now they are raising children in a world that is changing fast. So the real question isn't about who is right or wrong. It's about how people adjust when their private lives collide with public expectations. And when it comes to Magic and EJ, maybe the real story is not about rejection or acceptance alone, but about a father learning how to love his child in a world that keeps watching and judging every step. But Kat's theory and the theories circulating in a lot of online spaces ask a harder question. For a man who built his entire identity on a specific kind of masculine excellence, who was raised in a specific cultural and religious tradition, who spent decades being celebrated as the embodiment of a certain kind of Black American manhood, is the support really that simple? Or is the smile, the Instagram post, the courtside appearance, is that also part of the game? Is that also what compliance looks like when you've already learned the rules? That's a dark question, and there's no clean answer to it. Here's the truth. There are two completely different conversations happening at the same time, and they keep getting tangled together in ways that make both of them harder to have clearly. The first conversation is about E.J. Johnson as a person, a young human being navigating identity, visibility, and public scrutiny in real time. That conversation deserves compassion, nuance, and the basic decency of not turning someone's existence into a punchline or a political football. The second conversation is about power, Hollywood, control, and whether the cultural shifts we're watching play out in real time are organic or engineered. That conversation is harder, messier, and far more uncomfortable. And the people raising it, whatever you think of their methods or their conclusions, are not going to stop raising it. Cat Williams may be wrong about the specifics. The rituals, the rings, the Baphomet symbolism, reasonable people can and do push back on all of it. But the underlying question he's asking, who benefits from what we're seeing, and why it seems so concentrated in one industry, that question isn't going away. And the fact that it makes people uncomfortable? In Cat's world, that's exactly the point. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next update.